You see hardcore gamers, we love a challenge. Our attitude is like, bring it. What, Elden Ring, Shadows of the Erdtree? We're not phased. We love a challenge. Bring it. Look, if you want to get good at Elden Rings, this is what you got to do. Before you take on a mid-level boss or the main boss of any stage, you want to search out the map and level, build up your experience, build up your level and experience, and then try your skills on a mid-level boss to see where you are. But keep improving, building up your character, and keep searching through the level. You also want to do you want to master the art of movement in Elden Rings. You want to master the art of movement in Elden Rings. The other thing too, you want to find out if the boss or mid-level boss attack you 3 to 4 times before you can do something. And what is his recovery time and what is yours? And does he try to attack you again right after he just attacked you like 3 or 4 times? So you want to study those bosses. You study strength and weaknesses and vulnerabilities on those bosses. And once you find it, then you'll get better at that game. But you want to master the art of movement and timing the boss attacks, and when you can attack and when you cannot is also important. So that's my advice for you when it comes to Elden Rings. Okay? Yeah. And like I told you before, if you played Soul Calibur 1 through 6 and you mastered it, then that game should help you to beat Elden Rings. See, hardcore gamers like myself, we love a challenge. Our attitude is like, bring it. We will deal with that boss when we see him. Anyway, but before we take that boss on, we search out the map and see what we can do. What we got to do first before we even enter the presence of that boss for that level. Okay? Yeah, that's what we do. But anyway, From Software got you gamers that are having a hard time with this. If you played Soul Calibur 1 through 6, and if you played Bushido Blade, if you see, Soul Calibur wasn't about button mashing. It was for real competitive gamers that understand fighting games, about like low level attack, mid attack, high attacks, range, distance, movement, when to step in, when to not step in. That's what Soul Calibur was about. It was about real fighting for expert gamers. And those gamers, they can take the skills that they know from that game and what they learned, and that have competed in tournaments and beat Elden Rings. Okay? They understand it. So Soul Calibur 1 through 6 can teach you how to beat the bosses in Elden Rings. But you'll love it though when you beat the game with no hacks, no cheats, and no glitch. Anyway, hello viewers, another beautiful day. Yep. Hope your 5 senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. What? Alright, look. It says Elden Rings update makes Shadows of the Erdtree difficulty spike more manageable. It says here, From Software delivered the Shadows of the Erdtree expansion to Elden Rings fans last week, bringing in a brand new land for players to explore and struggle in, while its critical reception has been as high as the original game, making the highest rated expansion ever released. Some in the community has not found the expansion to be such a gem, even leading to mixed Steam users' review. This has primarily been attributed to the upped boss difficulty the experience poses. Today, From Software released a calibration update to adjust the expansion balance, dubbed Update 1.12.2. It tries to make the challenge a little easier, at least at the beginning. The Shadow Realm Blessing, the Sacrifice Fragment, and Reverb Spirit Ashes that players can find via exploring have been buffed to increase the amount of attacks and damage negation level, but this only applies for the first half of the maximum amount of blessings enhancement. The final blessing enhancement for both items will offer a slightly better upgrade for your characters too. And it says this means the toughness of bosses at start of the expansion can be elevated more easily, but overall difficulty of larger fights should remain the same. Aside of the balance changes, From Software has also taken a crack at resolving the performance issue PC players are facing. One of the issue may be stemming from ray tracing being enabled without input, and it says we have confirmed a bug where ray tracing settings are automatically enabled if you have previously loaded save data from previous game version. If your frame rate is unstable, please check in the system graphics settings. The ray tracing quality settings from the title menu title menu or in-game menu to check if it has been automatically set to on. Once set to off, ray tracing will no longer be automatically enabled. It says Elden Ring's calibration update 1.12.2 is live now across all platforms. From Software added that more balance adjustment and bug fixing updates are in development as well. And got three comments here. One person here says it's traditional in From Software games that the first strong enemy you encounter in the first area you will enter will end you without breaking a sweat. The DLC is no different, mainly because they all have Shadow Realm blessings and you haven't had a chance to get some yourself. You're a stranger in a strange land, and they don't care how big of a name you think you are in the land between. Yeah. And that's Mr. Bester. And then Rosina said this, get good. And then Satukuro said this, I went into the DLC on a LV260-ish NG plus 5 run and was getting 1 or 2 hits by everything. My buddy helped me realize if you go into the DLC on a non-NG plus run, it is significantly more manageable despite still being scale higher than the Erdtree. I hope they address some of the performance drop in the DLC, similar to how they fixed those drops in the main game shortly after launch. Then again, this may just be the case for my aging 3080. Alright, look, when it comes to Elden Rings, man, look, let me help you players with this. If you played Soul Calibur 1 through 6, Soul Calibur is not about button mashing. Soul Calibur is about real martial arts, and you got to learn about you got to learn about the movements, all the movements, the attacks, the high attack, low attack, mid attack, and then you got to learn about distance of the attack. Then you got to learn about recovery time of the attack. All that plays a factor into Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur ain't button mashing. So you got to learn how to parry. You got to learn how to run. You got to learn how to move. Master the art of movement, and I'll take it from there. So the same rule that applied in Soul Calibur 1 through 6 applies in Elden Ring, the base game, and Shadows of the Erdtree. And when you're taking on a boss, you have to master the art of movement, and you got to have your timing down, and you got to figure out, okay, what's the recovery speed? What is the recovery speed of the boss that you face? How many times does he attack you before you finally get to do something? Okay, can you block his attack, or do you run away from it, or do you dodge it? All that plays a factor. So when Soul Calibur 1 through 6 was out, that was the game you need to play in order to master Elden Rings. I can throw a Bushido blade into it too if I want to. I can throw what's that? Probably Mace of the Dark Ages up in the mix too if I want to. But fighting game, Soul Calibur though, really teaches you how to beat Elden Rings, because you have to master the art of movement. The art, you gotta learn how to run, block, speed. Run, block, dodge. You gotta learn how to parry. You got to figure out, okay, what's the timing on the attacks? How fast is the attacks? What is the recovery speed if I use a low attack? What's the recovery speed when I use a mid attack? What's the recovery speed when I use a high attack? Okay, what's the recovery speed on the bosses when he attacks me? How many times do I get to attack him before he does something else? Or does he attack me in the middle? Or do I have to do 2 quick attacks and then back off for a minute to see if he's going to do something else? All that plays a factor into Elden Ring. So I think the reason why most people are struggling with Elden Rings is because they don't know. I don't think they really know how to play the game. I don't think they really know how to play the game. They don't know how to compartmentalize how to take on a boss in a game. They don't know that before you take on a boss, you got to build your level up, your dexterity, your health, your armor, your excuse me, your health, your armor, your speed, your stamina, everything. You got to do all that. Excuse me. You got to do all that before you can take on a boss. And you got to study him. What is his strengths? What is his weakness? What does he like to do? Where do I see an opening? Where do I see an opening in his attack where I can attack him before he can finish? You got to look for all that. So I think when most people are struggling with Elden Rings, I don't think they really know how to play that game. I don't think they really know how to play. And I'm going to say this again. If you want to know how to beat those bosses, you need to play Soul Calibur and master it. And Soul Calibur will teach you, since Soul Calibur and Elden Rings is from who? Bandai Namco. From Software made Elden Rings, but Bandai Namco published it. So if you know how to play Soul Calibur, and you're very, I'm not talking about button mashing. I'm talking about you mastered it, then you can beat Elden Rings. Okay, yeah, you have to study that boss to figure out what you need to do. And the bosses that you fought in the base games, those were just practice compared to the DLC bosses. Okay, compared to the DLC bosses, they leveled up. So they're like, okay, really, you a hardcore gamer? You like a challenge? You got skills? Okay, bring it. And don't come with no excuses. Yeah, so if you want to get good at that game, man, you have to really study it, man. It's not about button mashing, man. It's not about button mashing. And if you use hacks, cheats, glitches, then I guess the bosses don't respect you because you didn't beat them fair and square. They can attack you as much as they want to, but you have to figure out a pattern. Like, okay, how do I take this person down? And that's what you're gonna have to do. So yeah. But to really get good at that game, man, Soul Calibur will teach you how to, how to play that game, man. Because also Soul Calibur got all kind of different fighters within all 6 games, and all 6 fighters got their mid-range attack, their low attack, their mid-range, their long distance, their recovery speeds, their strengths, their weaknesses. That game teaches you how to beat Elden Rings, man. So if you're struggling with it, man, maybe you need to stop button mashing and use your brain a little bit more. Maybe you really need to stop button mashing and really study these bosses and figure out, and set up like a combo or something, like a chain of attacks. But when they do theirs, and you gotta look for weakness within their attacks. Like, okay, if he does this, can I get around it? Can I, do I have to stand still? Do I run away from it? Can I roll through it? Can I get around the attack to get to, you know? So yeah, you have to do all that, man. So once you master the art of movement, once you master the art of movement in Elden Rings, then you can beat the DLC. But for now, yeah, you got your work cut out for you. Yeah. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still a Star Wars and Star Trek fan. Board, Tarsak. Go. Peace.